we're talking Infosys. Should Infosys buy back? Amit Tandon, MD of Institutional Investor Advisory Services, Girish Pai, Director at Claritas. Gentlemen, we are talking about what the company can do, what the board can do, and so on. Girish, let me ask you this question. Vishal Sikka has come on board and has made two specific points, that he wants to invest in startups, to invest in new technologies and so on. Would he rather use this cash to go ahead and do these things rather than return money to the shareholder from a timing standpoint?
See, if you look at investment startups, I think they've already mentioned a number of something like $100 million to be invested in startups. So startups per se will not require the kind of capital that's sitting or cash that is sitting on the books of the company at this stage. Only very large acquisitions. If you look at the largest acquisition they've done thus far, it is Lodestone, which is like something like $350 million, which they did 2-3 years back. I've not seen anything.
That's small money.
That's small money. So even if they become a little bit more ambitious under Vishal Sikka and probably they do a $500 or $1 billion of worth of acquisitions, you still have a situation where you have $4 billion of spare cash plus another $1.5 to $2 billion of cash coming in this particular year. So I think there is definitely a case for money to be given back to the shareholders.
Sure.
See, I think the other issue is that this money belongs to the shareholders and the stock has not performed, and you have a situation in the market where other sectors are performing well.
Sure.
So if the money is returned back to the shareholders, they can put that to work in other sectors, which can deliver better returns.
So let me turn this on this head. Let's say Infosys announces a buyback tomorrow. You have the stock price improved, there is an improvement in the return on equity, there's an improvement in the EPS, and the business performance doesn't catch up, then?
No, I agree with you. As I said, this just till the period when this large buyback happens, the stock will probably move up. After that, stock is going to come off. So as I mentioned just a few minutes back, if you have a consistent buyback, you will probably get a stock uplift of maybe 5 to 10%. The fundamental performance of the company in terms of growth and margins on returns on invested capital, not so much the total capital. Total capital includes this $5 billion of cash. If that improves, which has actually deteriorated over the last 2-3 years, if that improves, the stock P multiple will expand. So my sense is sophisticated institutional investors can make out what is the real return on capital employed in terms of operational capital. So they're not so worried about the cash per se. The issue is it's hurt them in one sense. It's the company is not delivered in terms of stock returns. So can that cash be put to better use by the shareholders themselves instead of by the company?
Let me tell you that, if you go back, many years back, Hindustan Levers, as it was then called, had announced bonus debentures, which was quite different from bonus shares. And their reason was that they're sitting on cash, which was earning at that stage about 8%, but the business was spewing out about 13-14%. So the return on capital employed was getting depressed. So one of the things the company can achieve if they return the cash to shareholders at this stage is, again, bring up the return on capital employed. So at least as far as that metric is concerned, it will look a lot more comparable with some of its peers.
One final question, gentlemen, and this is with respect to what's been done globally. We've seen Accenture do a buyback. We've seen Apple do a buyback right after Tim Cook took over. It was sort of, sending out that signal. Should Vishal Sikka send out a similar signal?
Again, it's a change in philosophy and a change in thinking. So, Cook decided that he's going to think a little bit different from Steve Jobs. Maybe this is the time for the new. You have to remember that most of the founding founding members have now stepped off the board. You've got effectively a new board, and therefore it's new thinking. So it is a good time to signal the fact that there is new thinking on the board, and it could be reflected through a share buyback as has been proposed, which is again as returning money to shareholders.
Would you buy the stock irrespective of a buyback?
No, I think at the current price, I think it's fairly valued based on what the estimates of the street are. Now we need to watch out for what Vishal Sikka is going to say as to what his roadmap is for the company, which I believe is going to come towards the end of the month or maybe early September. So once that is clear, if he sets a certain kind of growth path, he says that he's going to invest in certain areas of the market. That's when the market itself can take a call on what the medium-term growth trajectory and what the medium-term margin trajectory of this company is. And post that, I think one can take a call whether it is a buy or a sell. Right now, my sense is based on existing estimates, I think it's a fairly valued stock. I don't see any great upside from where it is right now.